Hello, everyone. Today, we're diving into a heart-wrenching tale of love, sacrifice, and realization. This is the story of Emma and Ryan, a couple whose love seemed perfect at first. But as the years went by, hidden truths and selfish intentions began to surface, leaving Emma heartbroken and questioning the very foundation of their relationship. Get ready to explore the twists and turns of this emotional journey, where love, loyalty, and self-discovery collide. Sit back and let's uncover the story of The Weight of Love, a Selfish Truth. Let's begin. The Weight of Love, a Selfish Truth. A love that felt like magic. Emma met Ryan on a warm summer evening at a friend's wedding. He was charming, with an easy smile and a way of making her feel like she was the only person in the room. It didn't take long for Emma to fall head over heels. Ryan was attentive, showered her with affection, and seemed to understand her in ways no one ever had. Their whirlwind romance led to an engagement after just a year of dating. Emma's friends and family were happy for her, though her sisters, Sophie and Claire, occasionally expressed concern that Ryan seemed possessive. Emma brushed off their worries. "He just loves me so much," she would say. "That's all." They married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by friends and family. Emma felt like the luckiest woman in the world, but as the honeymoon phase faded, the cracks in their relationship began to show. The sacrifices begin. Ryan's love, while intense, felt suffocating. He always wanted Emma by his side, which at first felt flattering. But soon it became clear that he didn't want to share her with anyone, not even her family. Emma loved her parents and her sisters deeply, and they had always been a big part of her life. However, Ryan would often discourage her from visiting them. "Why do you need to go there so often? We're your family now," he would say. Emma tried to compromise. She visited her family less frequently, focusing instead on building a life with Ryan. She wanted to make him happy. At the same time, she made every effort to be a good daughter-in-law to Ryan's parents, who lived nearby. She cooked for them, cared for them, and went out of her way to meet their expectations. Ryan, on the other hand, rarely showed the same consideration for Emma's family. He never called her parents or asked about their well-being, but he always justified it with statements like, "I'm just not good at that stuff. You know I love you, and that's what matters." A growing resentment. Over the years, Emma began to feel the weight of her sacrifices. She missed her sisters and the bond they shared. Sophie had a baby, and Emma's visits were so infrequent that she felt like a stranger to her own niece. Her parents' health started to decline, but Ryan always found ways to make her feel guilty about spending time with them. "You're always running off to see them," he'd say, even though her visits had become rare. "Don't you care about us?" Emma's attempts to explain her feelings were often met with defensiveness. Ryan insisted that he loved her more than anything, and that his actions came from a place of care. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that his love was conditional, a love that demanded her complete surrender. The breaking point. One day, Emma's father fell seriously ill, and she needed to return home to support her family. It had been years since she stayed at her parents' house, and the familiarity of her childhood home brought a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She spent her days helping her mother and comforting her sisters. For the first time in years, she laughed without feeling the weight of judgment. But Ryan's calls during this time were anything but supportive. "How much longer are you staying?" he demanded. When Emma tried to explain the gravity of the situation, Ryan accused her of abandoning him. "You're just enjoying yourself there, aren't you? Laughing with your sisters while I'm stuck here alone." Emma was stunned. She had always prioritized Ryan and his family, often at the expense of her own happiness. And yet, the one time she needed him to understand, he made it about himself. A painful realization. That night, Emma sat in her childhood bedroom, reflecting on her marriage. She thought about the countless times she had put Ryan's happiness above her own, the sacrifices she had made, and the loneliness she had endured. For years she had convinced herself that this was what love looked like, that compromise and sacrifice were part of marriage. But now she saw the truth. Ryan's love wasn't selfless, it was selfish. He wanted her to revolve around him, to prioritize his needs and desires while dismissing her own. Confrontation. When Emma returned home after her father's recovery, she decided it was time to confront Ryan. She needed to express her feelings and set boundaries, even if it meant risking their relationship. "Ryan, we need to talk," she said one evening. She poured her heart out, explaining how she felt unheard, unappreciated, and stifled. She told him how much she missed her family and how painful it was that he never supported her in maintaining those relationships. Ryan's initial reaction was defensive, as always. "I've always loved you more than anything," he said. "Isn't that enough?" But Emma stood her ground. Love isn't about controlling someone or demanding their sacrifices. It's about understanding, supporting, and making space for each other's happiness. And you haven't done that for me. A new path. For weeks, Emma and Ryan tried to work through their issues. Ryan promised to change, but his actions never matched his words. Emma realized that she couldn't continue to lose herself in a relationship that only took from her without giving back. One day, she made the hardest decision of her life. She packed her bags and left. She returned to her parents' house where she began the process of healing and rediscovering herself. It wasn't easy, but with the support of her family, Emma started to rebuild her life. She found joy in reconnecting with her sisters, pursuing her passions, and most importantly, putting herself first. Over time, Emma realized that true love isn't about sacrifice. It's about mutual respect, understanding, and growth. A future of her own years. Later, Emma looked back on her marriage not with bitterness, but with gratitude for the lessons it had taught her. She had learned to stand up for herself, to value her own happiness, and to never settle for a love that demanded her silence. Emma's story became a testament to the strength it takes to walk away from what no longer serves you, and the courage to build a life filled with authenticity, joy, and love, on her own terms.